Into the ring, just slid Hangman Page. Cobb, though, one step ahead of him this week. Cobb stands tall over him tonight. That's not going to work out because there's Io Shirai. Give the assist to Io Shirai, but Toni Storm has beaten Tessa Blanchard. Elias, Lio Rush, who will walk out with the belt. Punishment Martinez. There may not be a new champion, but a new challenger certainly just put himself on the horizon. Hello and welcome, Universe Mode. This is NXT. Here we go. 2 shows away from Takeover New Orleans. 2 NXTs away from WrestleMania weekend. It's going to be a good one. There's no denying that, as will tonight be a pretty good evening of action for NXT as well. We are set to see these 2 men face off this evening. Kushida and Hideo Itami face to face with one another in the ring for the very first time since Hideo Itami turned his back on Kushida. What will the impact be later on this evening when it comes to those 2 guys and what they have to say to one another? We will find out then, but in the main event of the evening promises to be a pretty damn big one, as Mayu, Iwatani, Io Shirai and Toni Storm team up to take on Trifecta, as Io Shirai prepares to take on Tessa Blanchard for the NXT Women's Championship next Saturday. This one is going to be setting things up for that one, there's no doubt about it. Plenty to talk about here this evening on NXT already, but here comes the NXT General Manager, Logan Wayne, with a bit to discuss, a bit to talk about. And it's going to be, I wonder what his, what he'll think about maybe some of the things that are going on here tonight, as well as what we saw last week as well from the NXT Global Championship match. Maybe a little bit more that happened on that card as well. He's welcoming us all to this episode of NXT, saying that New Orleans is just around the corner and they aren't finished planning for it yet. Plenty of big action to come our way and plenty to announce as a result of what was seen last week. And Logan Wayne does not want to waste any time in announcing it. I imagine there is a great deal that has been going through the managerial mind of Logan Wayne since NXT went off the air last week. I just wonder what is running through his head right now. He is here to announce, that's a pretty big one, that NXT TakeOver New Orleans, Lio Rush will defend his Global Championship against Elias and Punishment Martinez. Martinez's interference in last week's main event got him the match that he wanted. It's going to be a triple threat match for the NXT Global Championship just over a week from now. And along with that, there is one more big bit of news that the NXT General Manager has to announce for us this evening. Well, that one is pretty big in and of itself. How much more can you get? And that's what he was on about as a result of what we've seen over these last 2 weeks. Jeff Cobb and Hangman Page will also do battle at TakeOver New Orleans. And of course, we have Itami and Kushida meeting face to face tonight, and another main event for the women here on NXT. This is shaping up to be one huge edition of NXT. And we haven't even started with the wrestling. So there you have it, a triple threat match for the NXT Global Championship, and Cobb will face Hangman Page. Man, what more do you want to start an episode of NXT? Pretty damn big news right there. And talking about that NXT Global Championship match, the 2 challengers for that title, having just found out about this news, I imagine are going to square off against one another right here, right now, to get us going on NXT. It's going to be Elias versus Punishment Martinez. And I imagine there is going to be a deep-seated rage running through Elias's mind right now due to what transpired last week in that NXT Global Championship match. It was a very competitive one with Lio Rush. It was still one that either guy could have won at the time. It was anyone's ball game, essentially. But it was spoiled by the arrival of Punishment Martinez. Hitting the ring, putting both men down, and standing tall as the evening came to an end. And it seems as if that caught the attention of Logan Wayne to take matters into his own hands to declare this match a TakeOver to be a triple threat match. Sanity, 2 big opportunities for them next weekend. The chance to reclaim the tag team titles for a 3rd time, and the chance to win the global title. But as for right now, Elias isn't going to be thinking about any of that. Elias is merely going to be thinking about getting his hands on this man as a means for revenge for what happened last week. Because if he had not got involved, there is a chance, I'm not saying it would have happened, but there's definitely a chance that Elias could have been the new NXT Global Champion. And Martinez spoiled that opportunity for him. Leo Rush, to my knowledge, not here tonight. I wonder what he makes of the news that he's just heard as well. I wonder what his reaction is to what we've just seen from the NXT General Manager. And also on top of that, what the reaction will be for Hangman Page and Jeff Cobb as they prepare for their contest later on this evening. Definitely interesting scenarios all over the place as Punishment Martinez finds himself heading towards the ring here for this bit of action to open things up. Elias deep seething essentially at ringside right now, while the member of Sanity makes his way to the ring by himself, same way he did last week, only tonight he's not going to be knocking out two men. He might only be knocking out Elias, but through the smoke and through the darkness, Elias comes charging at Martinez, but oh! Undershot his strike and Martinez made him pay, and the fight has kicked off here on the entrance ramp. Bell hasn't even rung. And these two guys are colliding with one another right here, right now, corking him in the face. Big backbreaker there from Elias, taking care of business. And this matchup not yet underway. There we go, both men in the ring. Referee will ring the bell. This match has begun, and here we go now. Martinez and Elias squaring off, and you could tell just how heated Elias was as a result of last week. That has stayed in his mind, that has plagued his mind for the last week essentially. And now he's going to take some action out there as a result of it. Look at this, Martinez going to the ground on the outside there. And Elias getting to do as he pleases right now. To the best of his abilities, Elias not getting exactly what he wanted here. And Elias is doing just what he wants to Punishment Martinez. Martinez not perhaps envisioning that this was going to happen. Well, here we go now. Martinez ready to go and replying right away with a neck breaker there to Elias, knocking him down. Elias, though, sweeping the leg away. Fight is definitely on between these two sides. And these two men are just fighting right now for pure aggression, for the chance to get under one another's skin. Heading into Takeover New Orleans. I mean, it's safe to say that Martinez has probably already got under Elias's skin, but it's Elias's turn to try and get under Martinez's here, and the way to do that would be with victory. But as it currently stands, things are not looking too good for the Drifter. And he is on the receiving end right now of Punishment Martinez beat down, because as fired up as he may be towards him, as aggressive as he may be towards him, the simple reality is that Martinez is bigger, heavier, and harder hitting. Elias, though, with a big knee in the turnbuckle there. Lines it up again and hits another knee. Martinez, though, right back up to his feet there. Kick in the gut, though, from Martinez. Both guys trying to swing for one another, looking for a slam there. Countered. Elias turns him round. Nice German suplex bridge, but in the ropes was Elias. Whoa! Leo Rush! Leo, I didn't notice. Leo Rush stormed the ring. Rush with a chair. The NXT Global Champion storming the ring with a steel chair. And knocking both of his challengers down. I didn't see that one. And Rush just took matters into his own hands. I didn't see it. I'm not too sure the Hammerstein crowd saw it. And I'll tell you one thing. Punishment Martinez and Elias certainly didn't see it either. My oh my, what a way to start things off here on this edition of NXT. Well, it's safe to say that Logan Wayne wasn't lying when he said this was going to be a big edition of NXT, but I don't think that was quite what he had in mind when he was thinking about a big edition of NXT. Nevertheless, we move on to our next contest of the evening. Killian Dain set to go one-on-one with Matt Hardy. Last week it was Eric Young against Matt Hardy, and it was victory on that evening for EY over the one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. If that happens again next weekend, there'll be new NXT Tag Team Champions. Once again, Sanity will claim those belts. Killian Dain this evening looking to get one over on Matt Hardy, looking to put him in his place, really looking to get the victory over him as we head towards NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Pentagon Jr. busy later on this evening. A huge match for him against Brian Cage. That's going to be a huge match in general that I cannot wait to witness. But the big question has to be, who will get the win right now? Who will get the momentum heading towards TakeOver New Orleans? EY did his job last week. It's Killian Dain's job to do his tonight. Sanity have a very busy evening coming up for them at New Orleans, as I've already talked about. A very busy time for them to endure. And I just wonder who will get what they want out of it. Who will get the NXT Tag Team titles? Will Broken Brilliance be able to hold on to those titles once again? Will Hardy and Pentagon Jr. be able to achieve the victory and maintain the tag team glory? Because the honest truth is right now, the way things are going, things are not looking good for Hardy and Pentagon Jr. when it comes to holding on to those tag team titles. They're just not on the right level right now. They're just not at the, I don't know, I mean, it's Matt Hardy more than what it is Pentagon Jr., who's just not at his peak right now. And we saw that last week, really. He was fighting Eric Young, but it never looked like he put pressure on EY. It never looked like Young was in any trouble. And that's something to concern yourself with if you're Matt Hardy heading into TakeOver. Yes, you may be, of course, Matt Hardy, you may be a little bit broken. You may be a little bit twisted in the head and all that, but the reality is that you've still got to be aware of these kind of game plans heading into TakeOver. You can't rely on multiverse and anything else along those lines. You've got to be fully, physically, and mentally prepared to hold on to those tag team titles. And I'm wondering just how it will go for Hardy heading into tonight's match and next week's match as well. Maybe Pentagon Jr. by his side in that tag team match might make things a little bit better. You can certainly hear in the Hammerstein Ballroom right now this crowd on the side of Matt Hardy. And why wouldn't they be but the freight train that is Killian Dain, taking matters into his hands early on, running down Matt Hardy there, and now just going to plant him into the mat, I believe. Oh, yes! Killian Dain all over Matt Hardy in the early going to this matchup now, slamming right down his leg, coming down the leg there, the beast from Belfast. Taking matters into his own hands early on. Hardy just a passenger to everything that Dain has coming up right now. Good knee in the gut there, though, from Dain. Hardy tried to fight back, gets denied and all. Gets taken for one hell of a belly to belly. Says a lot about the, pretty much the team that is the NXT Tag Team Champions has come from Matt Hardy's visionary. It has come from his mindset. So if for Dain and Young to beat the guy who has come up with the team in back-to-back weeks, that really gives them a confidence boost. That really shows that they have an edge over Hardy. And essentially, that could give him a game plan for TakeOver, which would be take care of Hardy, keep him out of the, or keep him in the match and keep Pentagon Jr. out of it as much as possible. Power bomb from Dain, and then the elbow drop comes in after it. No denying the brutality from that one. Hardy back up to his feet, though. So much glory in this universe for Hardy. WWE title, US title, NXT Tag Team titles now. Lifting him up to his feet there was Killian Dain, sending him into the turnbuckle once again. This time Hardy comes up with a counter. He struggled to take the big man off his feet in this one, but he seems to have found a plan for it. Nice neck breaker. And this could be where Hardy turns things around. Leg drop from the second rope. Nicely done indeed. Same as he hit on Eric Young last week. Young's got to be watching this one on and seeing what Dain will do by himself as they head towards TakeOver New Orleans. Pentagon Jr. is probably going to be watching this as well as he prepares for his match against Brian Cage later on this evening. Cage, of course, with a huge opportunity in the main event of TakeOver as he squares up against Tyler Bate. From the top, went for a chop there but missed with it. Dain moving out of the way. Oh, and Hardy couldn't move out of the way of that one. Run down by Killian Dain. On the ropes now is Hardy trying to recover. Tried to swing for Dain, but the reactions of Killian Dain were just far too quick for Hardy as he was caught there with that belly to belly and almost put away as well, just barely getting that shoulder up in time. Look at the way Dain has just been throwing Hardy literally around the ring in this matchup, and it says the destruction of Dain that's going to be watched out for. It says about his danger. Deadlift, sit down, powerbomb from Dain, plants Hardy. And this is the reason why Hardy's not getting in this match. He just quite literally can't right now. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I spoke too soon. Good counter from Hardy there. Reverse DDT gets himself into a position here to work. Good leg drop from Hardy. Lines it up. And another one on Dain. Working over the head for the twist of fate. Hoping that it can lead him to victory in this matchup, maybe. Hoping that he can find it out of the blue. But Dain puts the brakes on those strikes. And STOs Hardy down into the mat again. God, Killian Dain is just a ruthless tank right now. We've talked about this before. We've talked about it in the past about how ruthless Dain can be when it comes to taking care of a situation, and he's doing it right here, right now. There's the crossbody to plant Hardy, and there should only be one move left for this match to be put to rest. Wait a minute, this was not the move I was thinking of. Killian Dain putting Hardy up at the trio when he's walking away from him. No way! No way! No way is Killian Dain going to pull this off right here, right now. Dain! Coast to coast! You have got to be kidding me! Across the ring! An absolute incredible feat of agility and athleticism from Dain, and it's put Hardy in his place, and it's victory for Killian Dain. Sanity 2-0 up on Hardy as we head into Takeover next weekend. If Dain does that in New Orleans, I'm high inclined to believe there are new NXT Tag Team Champions, because that was insatiable. That was stunning from Dain. That destroyed Matt Hardy. And the same could happen next weekend. My goodness. Dain, your winner. And a new move in his arsenal for Broken Brilliance to concern themselves with. Jesus. Well, we time to move on here to our next contest of the evening on NXT, and it's time to see Hangman Page in action. He has the news that he probably wanted to hear following these last 2 weeks. You gotta remember, it was Hangman Page who started this with the chair to Jeff Cobb 2 weeks back. Last week paid for it. Jeff Cobb getting one over on him when Hangman Page tried to jump him once again. But these two men will face at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and that one should be a pretty exciting and enticing match. I'm looking forward to seeing how that one does indeed go. How they will, what kind of match they'll put up against one another later on, next weekend. As for now, Hangman Page in a tune-up match, essentially, as he takes on Heath Slater here right now. A very interesting evening of action so far on NXT, and I wonder what Hangman Page will bring to the table here. Comes charging out of the gates, big boot in the face of Heath Slater. Essentially, this is all about Hangman Page proving his offense right now and trying to show to Jeff Cobb that he can take care of business and that he might be able to take care of Jeff Cobb come NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Brain buster on the knee there from Hangman Page. He is all in control right now, and it's not really much of a surprise. This is essentially a match that is used to showcase his ability. Huge lariat in the turnbuckle there. Hangman Page looking to end things already. Rite of passage. Planting Heath Slater into the mat. Never had a reply. Hangman Page with the win. And Jeff Cobb didn't get much of a peep into his offense, but he got to see what Hangman Page could bring to the table. He got to see how vicious Hangman Page can be when it matters, and he isn't letting up right now either. Hangman Page attacking Heath Slater after the bell. Death Valley driver. High angle as well. Slater came down on the top of his neck. And Jeff Cobb is having a physical message sent to him courtesy of Hangman Page. Buckshot lariat and Slater goes down. Hangman Page isn't finished yet either, demanding a microphone right now. Plenty that he wants to show towards his NXT TakeOver opponent and Jeff Cobb. Asking Cobb if he saw what he just did there. Took matters into his own hands. Put him in his place, how he'll do the same to Cobb at TakeOver. In the mind of Hangman Page, Cobb is overrated. And he will expose that at TakeOver. The Hangman is coming for Jeff Cobb, and he hopes that Cobb is ready to be exposed. Wow, oh wow indeed. Jeff Cobb definitely has something to think about now. Hangman Page wants to expose Cobb as a fraud, expose him as being overrated. That is a very interesting turn of events. Just a weekend away from TakeOver New Orleans. Speaking of turn of events, it's time to see what will happen right here, right now. The big face-to-face showdown between Hideo Itami and Kushida. And already in the ring is Hideo Itami. Couldn't wait a second longer to get in this ring. Couldn't wait a second longer to have something to say, I imagine. Hideo Itami getting across his point that he's standing in the ring right here, right now. He's not going to go back there and force Kushida to get out here. He wants him to face him now or be a coward with his tail between his legs once again. He wants to see the face of Kushida, the face of the man he was happy to turn his back on, and the face of the man who he'd be happy to do it to again. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Kushida doesn't need a second invitation. He will take you up on that any day of the week. And here he comes towards the ring now. The theme of Kushida hits, and he's coming right towards the ring. The first time since Itami turned his back on him about a month ago now that these two guys share the same ring as one another at the same time. Kushida marching to the microphone. I wonder how these two men, what these two men will have to say to one another. Kushida wants Itami to look into his eyes, look into the eyes of the man who put his trust into him, his loyalty into, and look at how he was rewarded, struck down, beat down in all aspects of life. He thought he could trust Itami. He thought they were friends. Now it has been exposed that that was simply a lie. Kushida definitely almost heartbroken in many ways. And Itami saying, why would he let the man who ruined his career be his friend? He seemed more than okay to let his career fall down the drain and to make him a nobody, just like Kushida. Itami wasn't letting that happen. He took matters into his own hands, and as he says again, he will do it once more if he needs to. Kushida has got to be getting more and more fired up. Everything he hears sickens him. He thought he could put his trust into him. He's seen that that isn't the case. He sees that his ways of respect have cost him, and he'll make sure they don't do that again. All back in their homeland, they were taught about trust and honor meant nothing to him. If that is the case, then Kushida is more than happy to remind Itami about those ways. If he needs to be reminded about what trust is, then Kushida's more than happy to let it be the proving place at TakeOver. Kushida challenges Hideo Itami to a match at TakeOver New Orleans to settle it, to put it all to bed, to learn about the ways of honor, the ways of respect. Will Hideo Itami take him up on this offer, I wonder? Oh, indeed he will. Like music to his ears. He knew exactly what he wanted. He gave Itami exactly what he wanted, throwing everything aside that he believes in to face him. If they want to fight a TakeOver, they've got it. Itami will take him on, earn his respect, and make Kushida go to sleep. Oh, but Kushida saying that this isn't. If this is all about respect to Itami, then let's deal with the respect. If Kushida wins, Itami has to respect him. They'll fight a TakeOver, and he'll be more than glad to hear the words out of his mouth, more than glad to hear Itami giving up more than glad to hearing Itami respecting him. Face to face, these two men go with one another. A week before their match at Takeover, another big match signed for NXT Takeover New Orleans. Kushida versus Itami. That's going to happen this evening. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm receiving reports but right now, we've got to be going backstage. Something big's happening back there as well. A brawl is kicked off, and it's between the main event of NXT TakeOver, Brian Cage and Tyler Bate. Fighting backstage here in the parking lot. Bate came out last week and said he has no problem being the David in this tale because he's more than glad to slay the Goliath. He knows how the tale ends, and he will let it happen at TakeOver. And they're fighting one another right now. Brian Cage was supposed to be battling Pentagon Jr. in a moment, but that match seems to be out of the window because these two men are more than invested in fighting one another. Head first into the car door. Went Tyler Bate. And Cage now with that production. With that production bin essentially throwing, that production crate throwing it into Bate. Standing over him right now. I think he was planning on flying from the top there. Wouldn't surprise me. These two men completely fighting it out right now in the parking lot. That match isn't happening, but I'll tell you one thing, the main event to TakeOver is getting far more heated. Security on their way to break it up, as into that glass wall went Brian Cage. I'll have more updates for you as this match commences. But Cage and Bate certainly not letting go of business as we head towards NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Oh my goodness. I've just been told that security are back in that parking lot right now. They are splitting them away. Cage and Bate are fired up with one another, screaming at one another right now about what is going to happen at TakeOver New Orleans. A very interesting scenario we find ourselves in. Just a week away. Oh my goodness. Huge news indeed coming from that one. Huge build-up indeed. But it's time to move on to our main event of the evening. I am very pumped for this one. Yeah, I've been told now the situation has been resolved. Logan Wayne is going back there as well to talk to both men as well. So that makes it even more interesting. The general manager getting himself involved now in this whole thing just before NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Perhaps telling his main event to calm down. Maybe, I don't know. Nevertheless, here towards the ring comes Toni Storm, the 6-woman tag team match in the main event. This is about the third time as of late that I can think about the women of NXT main eventing a show. Says a lot about the caliber, their talent. I'm thinking Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai versus Jazzy Gabert, and now this one. Io Shirai getting a lot of main event opportunities as she heads towards her big match against Tessa Blanchard just over a week from now at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Toni Storm won last week as a result of the intervention of Tessa Blanchard, as you saw at the top of the evening. That was a very, very strong message sent from to Blanchard from Shirai. The Trifecta can't do things their own way because they will be taken care of. Imagine what's going through Shirai's mind right now. She realizes that, oh yes, she's teaming with Toni Storm, and these two women do have respect for one another, but to be reunited with Mayu Iwatani as well, who stood for her 2 weeks ago, that's got to give her quite a boost to Io Shirai's confidence, and she stands at the front of the pack as these three women come towards the ring. Gabert, Whitley, and Blanchard. Blanchard may well have suffered that defeat last week, but it doesn't change what will happen in NXT TakeOver New Orleans. It's still going to be Blanchard versus Shirai, and I do wonder what is going through Tessa Blanchard's mind right now. How fired up is she heading towards that fateful evening next weekend. She gets another chance at her old rival in Toni Storm. And she also gets to extract some revenge. So too does this woman, Rhea Ripley and Mayu Iwatani, standing opposite one another as they get things underway in the main event of the evening. Here we go. Look at this. Ripley with stomps right from the very get-go as this matchup gets underway. Ripley, though, with a counter in the turnbuckle. Let's see what's just going to happen here. Mayu Iwatani, big hurricanrana to Rhea Ripley there. These two women definitely have some bad blood with one another. Ripley definitely continuing to carry it as well. 0-2 against Mayu Iwatani in this universe. And how she would like to turn that around, especially with Trifecta at full force. Sling blade there from Iwatani, my goodness. As we see Blanchard and Gabbert looking on there, and Shirai and Storm looking up from the other side as well. I have to wonder what is going through the champion and the challenger's mind. So close to that fateful evening. Counters there from both women to one another. From behind now, Russian leg sweep for Iwatani, and a little bit of a showboat after it. Good counter there from Rhea Ripley, however, puts her on her back, and Ripley looked for the tag out there. Not going to happen. Iwatani not going to let it happen there. Ripley went charging in. Good counter from Iwatani again. Ripley, though, steps back, dodges the drop kick, and again will send Iwatani into the turnbuckle. Tag is made. The NXT Women's Champion legal in this one. Big move from Blanchard. And look at this now. Tag looking to be made, maybe. Drop kick. Iwatani goes down. Blanchard fired up there. And mocking, I think, both Storm and Shirai as she tags in. Jazzy Gabbert, the alpha female, now getting involved. Big elbow into the knee there from Jazzy Gabbert. Look at this now, an iron grip and slamming her into the mat after it as well. My goodness. Ruthlessness there. Mayu Iwatani fighting back though into the turnbuckle. Look for a running dropkick, countered from Jazzy Gabbert. Storm had to step off the apron. Big slam. Big slam from Gabbert. But here we go. Things are about to change. Here comes Shirai. The genius of the sky is tagged in. And she gets a measure of revenge. Last time she was in a ring was against Gabbert, and she was a victim of a 3-on-1 beatdown from Trifecta. And now all of that could change in an instant. Shirai getting some payback of her own here. As Iwatani recovers on the outside. Look at the strength of Shirai. Planting her in the mat there. Beautiful bit of work. Oh, now's not the time for taunting though. Now's not the time for acting confident, Io Shirai. Now's the time to take care of business. To take out Gabbert. And to knock Trifecta off their ledge a little bit as we head into Takeover New Orleans. Stomping away there. Io Shirai, is she thinking moonsault? She's going onto the apron. She's right next to Tessa Blanchard. Blanchard might be looking to hit her here. Got her in the leg. Shirai didn't stop at all. Gabbert got the knees up. The attempt from Blanchard didn't work. But those huge knees in the gut from Gabbert certainly would have put Shirai back a peg. Tag made. Ripley in. And look at this. Rhea Ripley crossbody on Shirai now. As a team, Trifecta are on top of this business. Even though this is the first time these three women, as this variation of Trifecta, have teamed with one another. They know each other so well. They know the ins and outs, and they know just how to take care of business. And that is exactly what they're doing right now. In the turnbuckle goes Shirai again. Tag made. Gabbert in. Look at how they're denying Shirai the opportunity to share the ring with Blanchard. It's Gabbert and Ripley doing all the heavy lifting. And speaking of lifting, deadlift powerbomb to Io Shirai. Iwatani and Storm can only watch on right now as the #1 contender to the NXT Women's Championship is being victimized. Gabbert taking a step back and tags in Ripley again. Comes charging in here. Throws her into Ripley, who goes into the Oh my goodness, running big boot there from Ripley in the turnbuckle to Shirai. Look at this though, despite all of that offense, Shirai somehow, someway, able to fight back. Sunset flip to Ripley, doesn't go for the cover. If I was her, what I would do right now is go for the tag. Tag in Storm, tag in a fresh body in this match, and that's exactly what she's doing now. Toni Storm in on this one. And a change needs to be made here. Shirai, Iwatani and Storm need to turn things around. Toni Storm looking to do that right now. She keeps Ripley pinned down on the mat. Oh my goodness, look at the agility there from Rhea Ripley. Pulling that off, and Toni Storm slow back up to her feet for a reason. Around the throat again. Choke STO to Toni Storm. Rhea Ripley is in control right now and is looking to seize victory right now as well. Ripley in, looking for Riptide. She got it with it. Riptide to Toni Storm. Will it claim victory? Cover made. Kick out of 2 from Toni Storm. Too fresh in the match to be put away. Oh, but the old rivalry commences again. Tessa Blanchard and Toni Storm to lock horns once more. Big forearm in the face. Went for a running knee, I think was Toni Storm's mind. Gets countered though and gets planted. Storm now crawling, tags in Iwatani. Here we go again. Mayu Iwatani fired up. Oh, but planted into the mat. My goodness. Planted more than once. Hammerlock DDT from Blanchard. And up to the top rope goes Tessa Blanchard now, ready to end things. Ready to put a dent in the confidence of Shirai. Magnum connects. Oh, but a conflict there and a mistake made, a rare mistake made by Trifecta. Gabbett came in too early. Cover is made. Shirai doesn't break it up, but Iwatani was given enough time to kick out. A mistake was made there. The Gabbett came into the ring too early, and the referee took matters into his own hands and didn't allow the tag to be. Didn't allow Gabbett to charge into the ring. Shirai trying to get this crowd on the side of Iwatani right now. Big knee in the face for Iwatani there. Great bit of work, and Iwatani might look to finish things here. Might look to put things away. Can she do it? Looking for the dragon suplex and is denied. Roll up now, roll up from Ripley to put things away in this main event. There's 2 and a kick out. Storm and Blanchard locking heads once more. Oh, and Blanchard knocking Storm out of the ring. Back suplex as well from Rhea Ripley as she looks to get sweet revenge on Mayu Iwatani. Can't. Good counter from Iwatani there. Drop toe hold, face first into the mat. Oh, no, 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 no. Riptide connects. More or less the middle of the ring. Cover made. Storm breaks it up at the count of 1. But Storm planted it in the mat. Cover made again. And this time, Iwatani kicks out of 2. But there's no one there. Storm and Shirai got knocked to the outside by Trifecta. Iwatani stands on her own. And it's time to finish the deal right here. Twisting back suplex into the face buster. Cover made. Iwatani done for. And this match is done for as well. Trifecta your winners. And a major dent to the confidence of Io Shirai heading in to next weekend. Trifecta were on top from the very start. And a very important note, Blanchard was barely in this match. Ripley and Gabbett did all the heavy lifting. Shirai was beaten, Storm was beaten, Iwatani was beaten. Trifecta stood on top, and Blanchard never got in the ring with Shirai either. We never got the preview for Takeover. That's going to eat away at Shirai. That is exactly what Tessa Blanchard wanted to happen. That is pretty big heading into next weekend. One more week to go. WrestleMania week can officially commence. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a big one. That does it here from a huge episode of NXT. Just one more to go until Takeover. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, guys. And of course, it's alright.